Okay, so I just spent the better part of 8 minutes arguing with the little phone holder in my car that's supposed to hold my phone when I do GPS, and it irritated me. But that's not what I want to talk about today. What I want to talk about today is 2013 and how wonderful it has been for me. It wasn't always wonderful. I had some trials and tribulations. My year started out with me being trained to be a manager for my job. So that was the first 2 weeks of January 2013. Then I ended a relationship, a triad actually. That ended up being a very positive thing for me and hopefully for those people. They don't interact with me, which I'm okay with. I wish them well. I just wish them well away from me. Then I got really busy with work. So busy with work that I didn't have a social life. I had no social life. My social life was going to work. And interacting with my customers and my employees and, doing manual labor. And over the year, I have been in flux when it comes to my emotions. Not that bad, but my doctor and I decided that it was time to try a different medication for my obsessive compulsive disorder, which I only got diagnosed with this year, 2013. And so while that was changing, there was a period of time where I was like anxious and paranoid and depressed, but it balanced out and I'm doing good now. A cute butt just walked by. I couldn't help myself. It was there. Right there. Anyway, so my meds are all stabilized and I'm doing really good emotionally and intellectually. But it's the last 2 months that have been really good. The last 3 months. So I went home in October for Halloween. And I stayed at my parents' house, interacted with my mom, my dad, my uncle, my brother, my grandfather was there too. And my brother and I got along great. We tag teamed and picked on my mom a little bit. And we were just causing shenanigans. And we didn't fight once. It was really great. My brother's doing good things in his life, and he is totally accepting of my transition. He actually told me when I was in Wisconsin, I was dropping him off at his friend's house, and he grabbed his stuff out of the back and came to the front and just stared at me for a second. And then he said, I always wanted a brother. And then he shut the door and walked away. And I'm like, oh my God, that's so cute! Oh my God, my brother loves me! Ah! More than that, my brother accepts me. So that was a huge stepping stone for me. Then came back here, just got back into my normal routine. Things were going fine. Then in November, fast forward to the day before Thanksgiving. Okay, so not the day before Thanksgiving, about a week before Thanksgiving, I met somebody. And we went on a date, and I really liked him. And started hanging out with him. And then it came to my attention that a friend of his likes me. And I'm poly. they're poly. Yeah, let's try this. And so I got a boyfriend and a girlfriend, and I'm in a triad. A much better one than the last one I was in, that's for sure. And things are going really good. We're very honest and open, and we communicate. And if I'm having anxiety or whatever because of an imbalance of my meds, or I haven't eaten, or I haven't slept, or something like that, they're totally okay with that. And I love them. That's really fucking great. Then, so I get this call. 2 days before Christmas, like on the 23rd, from my mom. And she says, hey, I want to email you something and I want you to read it. And if you're okay with it, I want to post it on Facebook. So I'm like, okay. Already in my brain, I'm like, oh my God, she's going to accept me. What? Why else would my mom ask for me to approve something before she put it on Facebook? I mean, what, is she going to come out and, say horrible things about me and want me to say that's okay to put on Facebook? No. So I already knew what was going on. I have intuition. And she sent me this message saying, most of you have heard me talk about my darling daughter, Kelly Marie. What you don't know is that for the last 2.5 years, Kelly Marie has been transitioning into Luke Joey. And while this has been difficult for me, for at the same time that I was accepting of Luke, I was grieving the loss of Kelly. Well, when Luke came home in October, it became very apparent. Everything became clear to me. Being able to see Luke, to be able to be who he truly is for the first time, what more could a parent ask for? That their child be happy. So I now know that Kelly is not gone. She is a part of a wonderful, loving son. And then she goes to Luke. Merry Christmas. I love you very, very, very much. I've read it to people a couple times, so I'm pretty sure I got it most of it verbatim. I'm sure I may have messed up a little bit of it. So I read this message, and then I called my mom, and I'm like, oh my God, Mommy! I love you, Mommy! And she's like, I love you too! And we were all choked up, and she told me that the only thing she told my dad, the only thing she wants for Christmas from him was for him to call me Luke. Because he and my uncle are, for the longest time, have been blatantly refusing to acknowledge my name. When my dad saw my reset button, he tried telling me, well, he didn't try, he actually told me that reset means store to factory default, implying that my factory default is female, because he wanted me to get done with this and go back to being a girl. And I'm like, no, Dad, no, restore restores to factory default. Reset puts you back at your last save point. So that's just when I'm having a bad day, I can start my day over. So yay, I got love and acceptance from my mother publicly on Facebook, and all of her friends are being so supportive of her and me, and it's absolutely great. Then, a couple days later, I have a dream. I dream about somebody that I used to hang out with when I was younger. Like, I'd only see this guy, like, maybe once a year for, like, a week or so. 2 years in a row, or no. Okay, so I met this guy at camp. And we bonded because we have the same birthday a year apart. Exactly. We were both born at 9 p.m. on December 30th, 1 year apart. And so we were bonding over that, and we're like, oh my God, you're cool. And he's like, oh my God, you're cool. And we just like bonded. And then, we talked for a little bit because we exchanged phone numbers at camp, and then we talked for a little bit, after that. And then both of us kind of just like, fizzled away from each other. Fast forward 2 camp terms later, went to camp the next year, and then a third year. And on the third year, hey, don't I know you? He goes, yeah, hey. And so we hung out the entire time at camp that time because we were like, I know you. And that was really great. And then we started getting closer. His family started renting out the campground for family reunions, which happens to be geographically on the other side of the hill from where I lived. So whenever he came into town, he'd call me and we'd hang out, and we got really close. And after he moved away and like joined the military, we were talking all the time. And he was just a really, really great guy, a honest to God, decent human being. And we ended up, you know, not talking for a while, and then we kind of grew apart. And anyway, I had this dream, and he was in it. And I don't know where that dream came from, because I wasn't thinking about him. There wasn't anything that made me think about him, although I do still have a letter he sent me when he was in basic training. But I hadn't been looking at it at that particular moment. And so I decided to look him up on Facebook. And I found him. And I friended him. And he accepted my friend request. So then I sent him a message, hey, do you remember me? He goes, yeah, you're... I remember Kelly, she's your wife, sister? And I'm like, oh, okay. So, yeah. No, I'm Kelly. I used to be Kelly. I'm Luke now. I have transitioned over the past 2.5 years, and it's really hard for most people to swallow, and they get kind of freaked out. And he's like, oh, hey, I thought you looked familiar. And he's like, yeah, I've always thought about you over the years, and I've always wondered how you're doing, and I miss our friendship. And I'm like, oh my God, I'm friends with my childhood friend again, yay! That was great. And I'm totally parked outside Value Village right now in Seattle making this video, and so people are probably seeing me be all crazy in my car. Shifty eyes. So, got my mom back, got my brother, got a relationship, got my childhood best friend back. 2013 is ending on a very good note, and today's the 26th, 27, 28, 29, 30, in 4 days. 4 days, on December 30th at 9 p.m., I'm going to be 31. I am going to be 31 years old. And then 4 days after that... No, not 4 days after that. 5 days after that's my mom's birthday. But 1 day after that is going to be New Year's Eve. And 2014 is going to start on an amazing note. And I'm getting chills and goosebumps right now just thinking about how great life is. When I first talked to my dad about my transition, him and my mom were not happy. And my father told me 2 things. Well, many things he told me, but a couple of things he told me is he said that him and my mother think I have a mental disability and that I need psychiatric help. Another thing he told me is that they think I'm going through a phase. To which I said, well, in 2 years, when this phase is still happening, maybe you'll be able to be willing to accept it. 2.5 years later, I got my mommy. And when I called home on Christmas, my mom made my dad and my uncle call me Luke. She said, "Merry Christmas, Luke!" And then I hear I hear her say to somebody, say it. And my dad goes, "Merry Christmas, Kelly." And she goes, "No, say it." And my dad goes, "Merry Christmas, Luke." She goes, "Good, now you say it." And I just know she's talking to my uncle. And he goes, "Merry Christmas, Luke." And my mom's like, "There, now everybody's wished you a Merry Christmas as Luke. We love you." And I'm like,